People stood in the square and demanded to get rid of the vile witch who had deceived the people by pretending to be a knight. They kept demanding that she be burned and set fire to the cross to which she was chained. The girl wondered if this final moment was her reward for everything. May her homeland be blessed with 1,000 years of glory. Next, we are transported to the real world. A guy named Ray Shiba is asked if he plans to live alone after entering a new school. He is entering high school this spring. Ray answered positively to the question. He has his parents' consent. He was asked what kind of housing he was looking for. Ray replied that it was something within 30,000 yen in Tokyo. Ray thinks it's going to be a problem, but it turns out the man has one option: a designer mansion in Tokyo, including all utilities for only 20,000 yen. Ray was very surprised to hear that. Mail noted regarding the reputation of the mansion. There is something strange going on there if he is comfortable with that. Ray stated that he believed in all of it, so it was okay. The man offered to take a look at it right now, to which Ray agreed and admitted that he was actually ready to take it already. The man announced that they had arrived and motioned for him to come through. Ray didn't realize if this was really a designer mansion, more like one of those old-fashioned apartment buildings. Then he reminded himself that it was only 20,000 yen. This building is European style with special design decorations. The ceiling is made of wood imported from Europe. Ray was shocked to hear this. This wood is said to have been used in the execution of witches. It supposedly has significant historical value. Ray was surprised that the house had such a dark past. It's only 20,000 yen, so who cares? Plus, there's plenty of sunlight. Ray looked out the window and noted that there was someone there, a strange man peeking out. Could this be the weirdness they were talking about? They literally made eye contact. That man looking at him with the insane eyes of a preacher. Ray stated to the realtor that someone strange just peeked in. The realtor noted that strange things happen. It's a stigmatized property. The realtor clarified that maybe Ray would be better off giving up that option, and then the guy thought for a moment, but he decided he was taking the place. The realtor noted that this house does have strange guests. Let him keep that in mind. Ray stated that everything is fine and he doesn't believe in any nonsense. They then signed the paperwork. A week later, Ray was moving his belongings and happily announced that from that day on, he was starting to live on his own. It was time for him to unpack, but then he heard what sounded like someone talking. He realized that there was obviously something here. He reminded himself that it only cost 20 bucks, so it was perfectly normal to hear some strange noises. Someday he might even be able to bring a girl here, so he decided he'd just play on his phone for now. While sleeping, he realized that he could hear something. Then he heard loud screams. One told the other to shut up, and the other replied that he said he wouldn't. There was a girl hanging from the ceiling just asking to be killed. She was ordered not to scream in that voice. Ray didn't understand what was even going on. He stood up and grabbed one of the executioners, asking what he was doing and why over his head. Suddenly, the executioners burst into flames and disappeared. Ray was surprised. He thought, this is a dream, but this isn't a simple dream. Deciding that it would be foolish not to take the opportunity, he wants to do something untoward to this helpless girl. The girl insulted him and asked him if he was another inquisitor. Ray didn't understand the inquisitor, but he stated that it was a waste of time, no matter how hard she tried, getting ready to do something to her. He noted what noble eyes she had. They certainly wouldn't waver from just pawing at her body. Ray asked fate to grant him the blessing of waifu and thanked him for the treat. When he grabbed the girl by her juicy melons, she was incredibly embarrassed. But alas, there was nothing she could do. Ray thought about how awesome they were, so soft and so big. The girl called him a creep, and he noted that this was how real melons felt, not virtual melons. The girl declared that her god was not the devil and she would not let herself be fooled. Suddenly, Ray took hold of the melons under her t-shirt, holding them as if for his life, and noted that they were very smooth and nice. The girl was dumbfounded by this and humiliated by her helplessness. Today was the first time he touched real melons, and he can consider it Melons Commemoration Day. Bro, what's wrong with you? The girl didn't understand why the hell he was crying, and Ray said that now he could die happy. The girl asked how dare he touch her. Let him be prepared for the consequences. If he continued, even he wouldn't be able to get away unscathed. Ray didn't listen to her at all as he was mesmerized by her form and lifted up her t-shirt, noting that they were pink. The girl demanded that he stop this inquisition already. If he stopped now, maybe she would spare him. However, he pinched her, and he liked her reaction. He stated that she was making such cute noises. The girl was utterly frustrated and started demanding that he kill her. However, Ray heard her say, Kukuro. Ray noted that it was even better Kukoro's real reaction. The girl didn't understand how it was that he was committing such atrocities with a smile. Ray realized that since this was a dream, it meant his fetishes were being reflected, whether that meant things would go according to his wishes. Ray asked her if she would be his girlfriend, but she refused. Ray was saddened to be rejected and began to caress her melons with his mouth, saying that even though it was a dream, he would suck all the juices out of her. The girl didn't realize what kind of pleasure it was. Something was starting to flow into her. and it seemed to her to be power. Ray didn't realize what smelled so good, and then it hit him that he could smell odors. The smell was so realistic, so much like human skin, he didn't know if it was even possible to smell in a dream. He began to wonder if it was a dream at all. The girl suddenly screamed at him to kill her, and there was a flashback. The girl found herself on the floor in the outfit. Ray didn't understand anything. The girl called him an inquisitor, and then a minion of the devil. This body is dedicated to her god, as he dares to insult him. The girl introduced herself as the Holy Knight Marguerite. In the name of her god, she would bring punishment upon him. Ray was dumbfounded to see the female knight. Marguerite called for the sacred sword of Mergstein to appear. Ray noted that no matter how one looked at it, it was clearly a demonic blade. With this sacred sword, she would purify his soul, completely defiled by shamelessness. After that, the girl stabbed him with her sword. Ray realized that it really wasn't a dream. He wasn't in any pain at all. He couldn't even feel his arms and legs, but he still couldn't forget her. Ray hopes that after he dies, no one will see what's in his phone. We all know what bro hides there. 5 days later, Ray was walking up the stairs of the house. Then he really thought he was finished, but by some miracle, he's still alive. He's getting really comfortable here, like home. Suddenly, Marguerite greeted Ray. She alerted him that the flounder was almost ready. Ray noted that she was stewing it in soy sauce, to which Marguerite clarified that it wasn't stewed. He saw the curry in the pot. The girl had been watching the cooking on TV. She was sure it was perfect this time. Ray urged her to forget about cooking and just give up already. Threatening the protagonist, she added that until she took the holy sword, she would not leave this place. The girl dragged the sword from Ray's chest and noted that it still wouldn't come out. The day he was stabbed with the sword, he didn't die but absorbed her sword. Marguerite asked if he didn't want to eat anymore, but the boy said that of course he did. The guys thanked the god for the food and started eating. Ray noted that it was bitter and asked her what she'd put in it. Marguerite stated that the more spices, the better it preserved. The day the spiritual power penetrated her, a spirit like her got a physical form. But in exchange, the spiritual power has consumed the sacred sword, something far more precious to her than her own life. So if he wants her to calm down, he'll have to help her find a way to get it back. Until then, she'll live here. Ray clarified what about payment. Marguerite didn't understand if her juicy melons weren't enough. Ray noted that he was really sorry. He really thought it was a dream. And besides, hadn't he begged her for forgiveness? Booing? 1,000,000 times? The action shifts to our protagonist the next day, where he was at school. A classmate approached Ray stating that they were going to karaoke, asking if he would go with them. Ray remembered that he was one of those extroverts, but couldn't remember his name. The guy reminded him that his name was Yoba Barry, asking him not to forget such rare names, after which he once again called him to karaoke. Barry heard that the main character lives alone, which means he doesn't have to be home on time. But even so, he still goes straight home. Ray confirmed that he didn't live alone and that he had a sister. Barry said that it didn't matter. He suggested that he should get to know Ray better, because they had been studying together for a year. The protagonist was sure that this blonde guy was just trying to make friends, to turn his apartment into a place to hang out. He said that he wouldn't go, as going to karaoke wouldn't do any good for his life, and Barry should spend his time in a useful and cheaper way. The main character then turned around and went home without listening to what Barry had to say. Marguerite welcomed him home. The girl asked him how things were going at school, whether he had found comrades in arms. The protagonist shared that they were all idiots. He chose this school just to escape his hometown, so the level here is pretty low. It was a waste of time for him to deal with them, and it was more important to him when she left. Ray noted that there was no progress at all, and in the end, it didn't matter whether she left or not. Just let her leave the damn sword and move on. Suddenly, Marguerite pinned him against the wall and called him a filthy gutter rat, a thief of the holy sword, adding that she would kill him right here and now and pull the holy sword from his body. Ray couldn't believe he was about to be killed. She told him to go back to the sewer and threw him out of the apartment, humiliating him again. She realized that he had decided to run away after all. The protagonist noticed that she looked serious, but at the end of the day, she's still an evil spirit. And after all, he's paying for a meal for two, and he wishes she would just leave already. Now that he's gotten this far, it really feels like he's moved to the city. It was nothing like his godforsaken village. Suddenly, he bumped into someone spilling water on the stranger, but immediately apologized. The stranger asked Shiba what he was doing. The guy asked him if Shiba thought a simple apology would be enough. Let him pay for his cleaning, 500,000 yen. Shiba was shocked and remarked that it was just water, to which the guy told him to just shut up and pay up. The guy called Ray a little rascal and kicked his ass. He pulled out Ray's wallet. Ray tried to take back his money. Then Marguerite appeared nearby and clarified if he won't even try to take it back. Shiba was surprised at her appearance. Marguerite asked if he would just let him treat him like that, if he didn't want to stand up and fight back. Ray said he had no chance of standing up to someone who couldn't be defeated, believing that only idiots did so without thinking of the consequences. Marguerite realized how pathetic he really was. Ray stated that the days when bravery and persistence solved everything were long gone. The guy with Ray's wallet was amazed at the amount of money in his wallet. Suddenly, someone appeared in front of the guy and ordered him to stop. It was Barry. He grabbed Ray's wallet and ordered him to give it back to Shiba. However, the bully with Ray's wallet did not appreciate this and hit Barry, calling him a bastard and telling him not to stick his nose where it doesn't belong. But Barry kept attacking the bully and getting hit. He kept trying to get his wallet back. Barry came at the bully with his fist to get Shiba to return the wallet and apologized to him. The bully stated that he'd told him not to get involved. Shiba didn't understand why the guy was doing that. Marguerite clarified if he knew him. Ray pointed out that they were in the same class, but he kept blowing him away, not understanding why he was helping him now. Barry kept attacking the bully, yelling that this money shibe wasn't for fun. He and his sister needed it to live, but the bully didn't care. Marguerite said that he was standing his ground even knowing that there was no chance of winning. She asked if Barry was the idiot he'd been talking about. Barry was stuck to the bully like a bath sheet and agreed and handed Shiba back his wallet. The bully added that he would take Barry's wallet in return and asked him what he thought the idea was. Barry didn't hesitate to pull out the wallet and handed it to the bully, but immediately Ray rushed over to them and told the bully not to dare touch that gangster's loot. The bully got angry and said that he was very annoyed with the bully and then hit him, but Shiba was caught by Marguerite. Marguerite encouraged the boy that if he tried his best, everything would definitely work out. After that, Marguerite pulled out the guy's sword and stabbed the hooligan with it. Barry and Shiba were scared that it was murder, but the Hugilan turned out to be alive. He felt like he was being squished. Then he noticed that he had stepped in dog poop. It was also on his back. Suddenly, he saw two guys who said that meeting him was a real good luck, and he didn't realize what was going on. These jocks then carried the bully off somewhere. Ray clarified with Marguerite if it was her curse, but the girl noted that it was a purification. He realized that she had been able to pull the sword out, and Marguerite thought that the sword had lost most of its power. If it had its original power, that guy would be dead. Barry groaned, and Ray asked him if he was okay. Barry thanked Shiba for saving him, but Ray pointed out that it was actually Barry who saved him. But Barry denied he didn't do anything at all. He should have called the police first, though. Ray thanked Barry for helping him. Barry suddenly told Shiba that it was karaoke time. Ray pointed out that didn't Barry need to have his wounds treated, to which he agreed. But then Marguerite swung her sword at Barry. Ray didn't understand what the hell she was doing. Marguerite said that Barry shouldn't be able to see the sacred sword, so she wiped his memory. Barry stood there not realizing where he was or who he was. Marguerite urged Ray to be quicker. She would go and slaughter all the witnesses, whereupon the boy called her a demon. Next day, they sat at the table and thanked God for the food. Ray told Marguerite that he would wash the dishes, but the girl pointed out that he shouldn't. She was just a freeloader. She reminded the boy to finish his homework or he'd fail night school. Ray laughed and accepted her offer. Ray noted that he didn't really have much homework yet, at which point he received a message in the group chat about a suspicious person. Ray stated that the neighborhood wasn't very safe, which wasn't surprising for an apartment with a rent of only 20,000 yen. Marguerite alerted Ray that she had finished cleaning and asked if she could be the first to take a bath, to which Ray agreed. As he thought about it, he couldn't believe that once such a beautiful girl would take a bath in his house. Suddenly he remembered that even though she looked like a woman, she was still an evil spirit. He immediately recalled all those terrible memories. Marguerite was the first to head to the bathroom. Ray noticed that she really liked baths. She didn't have such wonderful baths in her homeland, and she likes bath salts the best. Marguerite poured some into the tub and sat in it. She felt a rich sensation envelop her skin, the warmth penetrating deep into her body. Suddenly, she realized that she was starting to let her guard down. She had to get the sacred sword back as soon as possible. That day, the sacred sword that had been removed from Ray's chest had almost lost all of its power. And worse, it ended up back in Ray's chest. Marguerite didn't know what she should do. The moment she realized that she approved of Ray's actions, she felt the power of the sacred sword. Marguerite wondered if her feelings for Ray were the key to restoring the power of the sacred sword. Suddenly, Marguerite spotted a man behind the glass, whereupon she broke the glass and grabbed him by the head and dragged him inside, throwing him into the room through the door. Meanwhile, Ray was on his way to the bathroom to spy on his half-sister. But suddenly, the man that Marguerite had thrown at him flew in. Marguerite asked him who he was, standing completely naked. The man introduced himself as Beale, but Ray, meanwhile, was dumbfounded to see Marguerite looking so marvelous. Ray assumed that Beale had been watching Marguerite take a bath and was caught. Ray was going to call the police, but Beale asked him to wait. He wasn't peeking in the bathroom. He's actually a researcher of evil spirits. Ray remembered that this old man had peeped in here before. Beale stated that this room was overflowing with the aura of evil spirits and he had come to help him. Marguerite asked Ray if he had released an evil spirit. At the same time, Ray didn't understand how he knew about it. Beale asked what our hero's name was, to which Ray introduced himself. It turns out his spiritual power is off the charts. so powerful, so strong, that ordinary spirits just disappear around him. Beale stated that Marguerite would disappear under the influence of his spiritual power and even absorbs it, turning it into her own. She is an extremely powerful evil spirit of a special class. If he stays near such a powerful evil spirit, his aura will be defiled. Beale urged him to give up this room and go to him. He would protect him from her. Ray replied that he would not, but he realized that being possessed by an evil spirit was unpleasant, but he refused nonetheless. Marguerite declared that if he tried to separate them from Ray, he would pay with his life. Beale didn't understand why she was doing this. Marguerite said that Ray had taken something important from her and that he had to answer for it. The girl told him about the sacred sword. Until she returns it, its power and the sword itself, she will not give Ray back. Beale said that in that case there was a way to get him back, but that certain conditions were necessary, and those conditions were the love between the two of them. Ray was dumbfounded to hear about love and clarified that it was a little disturbing to hear. Marguerite didn't understand if it meant that the sacred sword would never return. Marguerite urged him to just kill her then. Ray didn't understand if she really didn't want that. Beale noted that the stronger their bond, the more power would return to the sword and she could calm down. However, Beale added that they were almost out of time. According to his calculations, he has 100 days or else the spiritual power will run out. When that moment comes, she will lose its power and naturally disappear. But if that happens, Ray won't be safe either. The evil spirit will suck his energy, and in the worst-case scenario, he will die. Ray was dumbfounded and didn't even know what to do, not believing that Marguerite would agree to be with him. Beale said that if he needed his help, he could call anytime. He would do anything for someone with an awesome aura like Ray. The main character realized that he turned out to be a rather kind man, not an underwear thief type. Suddenly, Ray said that lately it was said that there was a lot of missing underwear, and asked Marguerite to see if her underwear was okay. The girl stated that it was fine because she didn't wear it. Ray was shocked why she wasn't wearing underwear. Marguerite stated that she was already a sponger. She was content to have a nightie and an apron. Ray realized that this meant she slept next to him every night without panties or a bra. Ray asked her to buy underwear immediately since his holy sword was in trouble. Marguerite asked not to worry about her, adding that his holy sword is hers. I guess she didn't understand what he meant. After a while, Ray was already in school, the best student. Yusa from Ray's class was walking down the corridor. The heroes realized who this girl was. She got the highest score in the entrance exams, and she also gave a good speech. Yusa was embarrassed because the truth was that she didn't have the highest score. The person who had the highest score refused to participate, and so that role went to her since she was in second place, and she told everyone that it wasn't true, but no one believed her. Yusa met Shiba by asking him if he was heading home. She also wondered if he wasn't in clubs, which the guy confirmed. Yusa thinks he's cool, he never says anything unnecessary, and is always serious. Shiba didn't understand how to talk to his peers since he very rarely talked to girls, so he's parroting her words. Shiba thanked her for speaking at the ceremony, saying her speech was amazing. He added that if he had spoken on stage, it would have been a disaster. Yusa disagreed, adding that she should thank him for giving her the opportunity. Yusa thinks he is so humble, the way he refuses to become a leader and never brags about his good grades. She thought of Ray, feeling very uncomfortable. Shiba thought about how it was a good thing that Yusa had agreed to this, as his speech would have been quite strange. He believes that after his speech he would have laughed nervously, and his life in high school would have been broken on the first day. Though, if he had been killed by an evil spirit, it would have been even worse. Yusa noticed Ray's strange behavior and asked if everything was okay, to which he abruptly stopped and decided to ask her something. He abruptly wondered if she wore underwear when at home. Yusa was shocked, at which Shiba quickly apologized for such stupid questions. The protagonist then asked what kind of underwear she wears and where she buys them. Yusa was left shocked twice that even her glasses fell on the floor. Shiba apologized again, after which he told her about her sister. Yusa, shocked, asked if his sister was from abroad. He confirmed it, adding that she recently came here. They live together, but she doesn't wear lingerie at all. She doesn't know much about Japan, so she doesn't even know where to buy them, and he doesn't know anything about lingerie. Yusa calmed down and was even a little relieved, finally realizing why Ray was acting so strange. She declared next weekend she would help him pick out his sister's lingerie. They both felt rather awkward. Meanwhile, Yusa was devouring the protagonist with her cute gaze. She added that she would like to meet him outside of school as well. Yusa said goodbye to him until tomorrow at school. Left alone, the protagonist was very embarrassed, thinking that this was very bad. He realized that he had just invited a girl to go out with him this weekend, using the choice of underwear as an excuse. A few days later, Yusa came to Shiba's house. They greeted each other, and Shiba was surprised that she had actually come and suggested that she say hello to his sister. Marguerite introduced herself as the former commander of the Order of Knights, but she was currently a nobody. This took Yusa aback. She told him that her name was Marguerite, and for some reason she was now Ray's sister. Yusa and Ray were shocked. He didn't understand why his sister was dressed like that. He apologized to Yusa, asking her not to worry, his sister wasn't that weird. After a while talking to Marguerite, Yusa said she heard she was from another country, suggesting that she was half Japanese, to which Rei added that they were half-brother and half-sister. As the girls talked amongst themselves, the protagonist leaned against the door to eavesdrop on their conversation, hoping that his half-sister wouldn't say anything unnecessary. Yusa recorded that Marguerite's waist was 70 and the melons were 98. Eavesdropping, Rei was shocked when he found out that it was the first time he had touched such big melons. Leaving, Yusa noted that with such a beautiful sister with such a nice figure, Shiba must have developed good taste. Going down the stairs, Yusa said she knew a rather nice store and suggested him to go there first. Rei thanked her. After a while, the heroes came to a very nice place and he didn't understand. Yusa asked Marguerite what she would prefer. Maybe a favorite color? Marguerite said she needed something to protect her from arrows, perhaps chains. Rei asked his sister not to say such strange things. Everyone would think she was crazy, but Marguerite didn't understand what she had said wrong. Rei realized that he couldn't just stand and wait. He needed to accompany her. In her country, women didn't wear clothes like this, and so she doesn't know what to choose. The protagonist pointed out that she dresses like in the village, and the girl confirmed that that's where she is from. At the same time, Yusa couldn't stop thinking about the protagonist. She felt awkward and strange at the sight of him. She realized that she was in frustration. She was confused, and maybe she didn't think of it right away, but she finally realized that Rei was her rival. Overjoyed, she shouted that she would study even harder, so she wouldn't lose to him. Suddenly, Marguerite asked her brother's opinion about one set. She added that there was a picture of a girl on Rei's phone wearing something similar. Rei asked her why she was wearing them. Suddenly, the salesperson intervened and asked her not to measure the underwear. Rei apologized and stated that they would buy it. They ended up choosing 3 pairs. Yusa was glad they had managed to find something, and Marguerite thanked her. Rei apologized. It was just an underwear shopping trip, but it had gone so hectic. Yusa shared that she had fun and thought that Rei looked so cool at school, so serious, but he was actually just as lively a person. He is so close to his sister, and Yusa is even a little jealous. Rei replies that it's not like that at all, but Marguerite thinks they're inseparable. Whereupon the protagonist asks her to stop talking nonsense. Yusa is uncomfortable just from the fact that she's not right for him. The guys headed to the cash register. The salesperson punched in 3 pairs of underwear and notified them that it would cost 17,400 yen. Rei was shocked to hear such an amount, but still paid. They were thanked for the purchase, and the guys left the store. The protagonist didn't know that women's underwear was so expensive. At Uniqlo, men's underwear cost only 600 yen. Yusa reminded him that his sister had a special size. Suddenly, Marguerite decided that she couldn't just accept handouts and wanted to start moonlighting. The action returned to the boys' house. Marguerite was watching television. The presenter said that now they would present a thing that people would never be able to refuse. A keychain in the form of a husky, and the most amazing thing about it is that if you put your arms around its sides, its tongue comes out. Marguerite realized that it's not just cute, it's incredibly cute. Rei brings up the subject of a part-time job. She's already talked about it recently, but since she does housework, he thinks she doesn't have to worry about rent. Marguerite replied that it's not about that, and the protagonist wondered then why she needs a part-time job. Marguerite is going to save up for one thing. She saw it on TV. A husky keychain. The protagonist was dumbfounded. Is this really what she's going to work for? And Marguerite confirmed it. She asked him for help with her search. Rei stated that in that case, she could use it when she starts looking for a job, whereupon he gave her the Tokyo issue of a magazine with part-time jobs. When asked under what conditions she would prefer to work, the girl replied that she wanted to be paid immediately. It seems to the protagonist that it would be better if she was paid once a month. Marguerite stated that it's too cute a keychain, and if she doesn't hurry up, someone else will already buy it. Rei asked her not to worry. She could buy it whenever she wanted. Marguerite stood her ground that it was on TV and had been seen. Definitely everyone already wanted to buy it. The protagonist realized that this was the power of television. Rei started looking for a part-time job with daily payments suitable for Marguerite and found one option: a part-time security guard. Marguerite stated that protection was her calling as a knight, and he asked if she would try it. First, she needs to write a resume, which is the document she takes to the job interview. The protagonist teaches her how to make it, so they write it together. Marguerite has asked Rei to provide this for her. She has successfully completed a huge number of knighting assignments as a captain, and was once a commander. Due to her speed, she had the nickname, the Eagle of Instant Death. She certainly wasn't used to writing in Japanese yet, but she thought that with his help, she would definitely get used to it soon. Rei noticed that the girl had a great attitude and they would definitely succeed. After a while, she wrote a resume, and the main character looking at her resume realized that no one would believe it. Rei didn't understand why she had written it all. Marguerite replies that she is not lying because she is a holy knight. The protagonist thinks that it would still be better if she lied now. He decided that he would make a resume for her and she would prepare for the interview. 3 days later, the protagonist sends Marguerite to the interview. The resume is there, the suit is there, and now she has to give her best. Marguerite asked him not to worry. She would be fine after all. She had successfully completed a huge number of nightly tasks as captain, and due to her accomplishments, she had earned the nickname, the Eagle of Instant Death. With her successes, she was able to make it. The action moved to Marguerite's first job interview. The man asked the girl why she chose their company. The girl answered that earlier she was a knight, so she is fully confident in her strength and abilities. If she works for them, she will be able to benefit the society. Marguerite thought about Ray's advice to focus on her courage and strength. The man asked what her abilities were, and then Marguerite said she could cut through an enemy with a single swing. But she apologized immediately, a little confused. The man thought she was joking, so he asked her to be serious. Marguerite apologized profusely. She will make it up to her because to kill an armored soldier, it takes 2 blows. In the end, she did not pass the interview and was rejected. Marguerite returned home and, standing on all fours on the floor, said that she would not give up, and the protagonist asked her not to worry. Several days had passed since then. They were preparing for interviews every day, and Marguerite was preparing for many part-time jobs. One day, she shared with Ray that she was going to have 2 more interviews, and if she didn't get them, it would be the 10th rejection. The protagonist decided she was upset and he would give her his strawberry dessert. After a while, when the protagonist returned home, as soon as he entered the apartment, Marguerite immediately hugged him and said that she was told to go to work from tomorrow. But she squeezed the guy so hard he yelled to her that it hurt his bones, and the girl apologized. She just spent too much effort. The main character asked her if she had finally found a part-time job. Marguerite confirmed that today was a special day, and she had bought the best bath salts as a souvenir. Ray was dumbfounded. Was she already wasting money? Marguerite shared that she even had a uniform. Ray found out that it was the uniform of one restaurant. The girl shared that she had been preparing for interviews with her resume, and the guy had helped her a lot. She was grateful to him. Ray replied that there was no problem and wished her to do her best starting tomorrow. Marguerite declared that starting tomorrow she would start working like a damned woman. But when tomorrow came, her first day at work, and she was already being yelled at and asked what she had done to make it so. There was a flood in the kitchen, and the girl was demanded to explain. But instead of words, she repeated the knife stabbing the vegetable with all her might, which damaged the furniture and the sink. Her boss kept yelling that he had asked for an explanation and not to do it again, but Marguerite reminded him that she was a swordsman. She was then told never to come back since. She was fired. The supervisor pointed out to her that the kitchen was now a mess because of her. She recalled Ray's words that in order to avoid being fired, she shouldn't overstretch herself and adapt to modern Japan, so she should hide her holy knight strength. Marguerite replied to the guy that she was sorry because it seems she was unable to adapt to modern Japan after all. Saddened after her dismissal, she was walking down the street and thought that maybe she would heal her wounded heart with strawberry berry daifuku. Just then, she saw some man asking her grandmother how long it would take. She realized he was rushing the old lady. He was indignantly asking how many years he would have to wait. Were they going to move forward into the new century this way? The old lady anxiously asked for forgiveness. The man leaned over to the old lady and stated that old people were wasting the youth's time, so let her hurry up and pay, or he couldn't wait any longer. The old lady stated that she would finish soon. However, the man was very impatient. He pushed the old lady and stated that in today's world, speed is life. In his opinion, the slowest stay behind, saving the fittest. Marguerite was angered by this situation and grabbed the man's arm, ordering him not to touch the lady. The man did not expect such a sudden and outrageous appearance, whereupon he told her to piss off, calling her a cosplay girl. But Marguerite threw him to the ground, to which he was dumbfounded, and asked her what she was doing. However, Marguerite pointed her umbrella at him and ordered him to leave, whereupon the man ran away, shouting that he would not tolerate any violence. This is when Marguerite realized that she had done it again, used her power as a knight. She knew that adapting to modern Japan was impossible for her. The old woman thanked her, remarking that the girl was so kind. But Marguerite declared that it wasn't true. She was a fool, and today she had failed to control her power again and had been fired from her part-time job. The old woman asked her if she was looking for a job, for perhaps it was fate, and if she wanted to, maybe she could work in the old woman's fish store. Finished her story, Marguerite joyfully urged the protagonist to look, for she had finally, with her first paycheck, bought what they had been talking about. Ray congratulated her. She had really done a great job. Marguerite handed him the keychain and stated that it was for him. It came in a set of 2, so she asked him to accept it as rent money. Next day, Bari at the school again suggested Ray to go to karaoke. He also suggested to invite his beautiful sister too. But Ray said that it is impossible because there is no way she will come to karaoke. Bari asked him to leave it all to Ray's skills and they will manage. The protagonist continued to insist that it was impossible. Suddenly, Yusa appeared next to them and asked if she could join too. Bari agreed and Ray was embarrassed, but he replied that it was okay. The girl was very happy and thanked him. After class, the guys went to karaoke. They took selfies together and Bari said that he would create a chat room, and Yusa thanked him. Bari remarked that it would be great if Ray's sister came too, and Yusa asked why he didn't invite his sister. Ray stated that there was no way she was coming because she was so stubborn. After a while, however, Marguerite did show up, and she was shocked at what karaoke looked like. She looked at the basic musical instruments and couldn't believe it was them. Yusa decided to ask if this was her first time at karaoke in Japan. Marguerite confirmed that it was and asked her not to worry about it since she had already learned the proper etiquette. Yusa warned Marguerite that all she had to do was press that recovery button. After that, Bari was the first to play his song and passed the turn to Yusa. She sang a gentle tune about love. At this moment, the protagonist was thinking about the fact that she had such a sweet voice. But suddenly, Marguerite stood up and joined in Yusa's performance of the song, only she did it quite aggressively while dancing and using basic instruments. Yusa supported the main character's sister and continued singing herself. During her performance, Bari stated that Marguerite was a man playing with a tambourine, and he couldn't afford to fall behind. Marguerite decided to clarify with Ray, doesn't he know that this is the right way to sing karaoke? Even she can understand that, but he thinks it's definitely wrong. After the song ended, Yusa handed Marguerite the microphone, but she was surprised that it was her turn. Ray asked her if she could sing at all. Marguerite replied that, to be honest, she wasn't very confident. Even if she didn't sing well, she hoped Ray wouldn't regret it. Ray affirmed that he would not lie and asked his sister if she would still be singing a foreign song. And Marguerite confirmed it. The heroine performed the song very energetically that eventually the guys danced and sang along with her. Also, the grandparents who were in the karaoke came running and supported her too. The main character thought it was quite exciting. The action carried over to the next day. The guys went to the store and the main character was glad that Marguerite was able to buy what she needed. It was a set from the card battle encyclopedia of the strongest beasts. The girl shared that it was cold outside everywhere. It was sold out everywhere and she had a hard time buying it. Marguerite showed him the cards and asked for his opinion, because lately she has been fighting with the neighborhood kids in the park near the park. At this point, she and Ray were just approaching this park and saw the little boys playing with some man. The man announced that he had won, then stated that as promised he was taking a very rare card from the boys. He was the winner. Suddenly, Marguerite grabbed his hand, claiming that he was using the cards to bet with the children. The guys were excited to see her. Marguerite promised the guys that she would get their card back. She announced that she would have 10 one-on-one fights with the man. Marguerite and her opponent sat at the same table across from each other. The man reminded her that the absolute rule of beast battles is that the strong one is justice, and if she wants her cards back, she needs to beat him. Marguerite was sure that she would definitely win. The man realized that this girl was an unusual person. She had the eyes of a warrior who had been through 1,000 battles, and he wondered what move she would make. Marguerite declared that it was her turn, and made a move using the weakest card. He didn't realize what kind of deck this was, and it all ends with just a challenge, Marguerite stated the end of the turn. The man is sure she's the real amateur evaluating him. She doesn't even know the basics. He realized that something is wrong here. It's a trap. It's some newest deck. The man defeated the weakest card and the bonuses would be applied to his next card. Marguerite thought about the fact that this guy is unusual. The boys stated to Ray that the situation is bad. Marguerite is putting together decks of pretty cards, so she is really weak. Meanwhile, the man decided that if she was setting traps, he would make a counter move and return the trap as well. She then stated that it was his turn, and he wondered how she would react to his move. The girl decided to attack and stated that it was her turn. She made a move and completed it without doing anything. The boys didn't realize what kind of battle this was. It was too low level. But with this kind of flow, they could win with luck. The man ended up winning the first battle with Marguerite. He noted that it was a fierce battle and heaven seemed to be on her side. She had the last of her strongest beast left, her hand untied, and Marguerite decided there was no turning back. The battle was not over yet. Marguerite activated a trap, a sunworm from her pocket, clearly hand-drawn. It was as if it were the strongest dragon, dealing a mighty blow. The boys pointed out that even regular schoolboys in their day don't do that much damage, because there are 110 ways that are allowed. The man stated that he has never seen this card, and he wants one for himself too. The card is very strong, and he has no way to win this. He read the property of the card and asked to rinse it underwater, but Marguerite did not understand his request. The boys were indignant as to why she allowed such an absurd weakness. Marguerite responded by saying that without weaknesses, the game balance is broken. If she cares about the balance of the game, let her not take the cards out of her pocket. The man declared that he won, but apologized to Marguerite and stated that he would take her cards. Marguerite kept saying that it wasn't over and demanded to fight once it was her turn to win. She got angry and snatched the sword from Ray's chest and decided to destroy the man's memories. Ray didn't understand what she was doing, but realized why she was burned at the stake a long time ago and tried to stop her. However, the girl suddenly disappeared. The girl was punished and moved to the protagonist's apartment to the ceiling. Marguerite was cursing. It turned out she had exhausted her spiritual power. Ray urged her to meditate for a while on the ceiling. The protagonist decided to call Beale and told him what had happened. Ray believes that he might know the right way to free her. Beale shared that he does know the method, but he wouldn't recommend doing it. The method is that the protagonist needs to manifest his spiritual power, but his own time span is shortened. Ray thought about the fact that he could go back to his peaceful daily life. Beale wondered what he would do, and the protagonist still asked to please tell him how he could free her. Beale understood him, and then he would teach them the method of liberation. He urged Ray to properly channel the living spiritual power and manifest it, and the exact method is as follows. He needs to kiss her or suck her melons. The protagonist realized that the first time he released Marguerite, he was absolutely right. However, Ray decided to clarify that there was no other way, to which Beale replied that this is the most effective method. Marguerite asked the guy if he had found out how to free her. He confirmed that he had and shared that he had to kiss her or suck her melons. He added that it was apparently the most effective way of transmitting spiritual power. Marguerite didn't realize that Beale hadn't deceived them. The protagonist recalled that this was how he had freed her last time. Marguerite turned to him and asked him to please hurry up and do it. If it is possible to do it quickly, she pleaded with him. The protagonist realized his task and prepared himself for those cups. Suddenly, Ray said that he would not release her, as this all happened because of her reckless swinging of her sword. If she wants to be free, she must promise to show more restraint from now on. Marguerite indignantly said that the Holy Sword belongs to her. She will not obey the orders of the kidnappers of the Holy Sword. He added that he has to humiliate her. He wants to expose her most embarrassing side. The protagonist was about to read a book aloud, to which Marguerite asked if he had no heart at all. He brought this book and offered her to see what it said. The book said about the Holy Knight Sebastian, and as soon as he read a little bit, Marguerite asked him to stop and not to read it. However, the protagonist continued to read the book, and the executioners who had tormented Marguerite before began to comment on what he was reading. In their opinion, it was a total disrespect for the source material. One executioner did not understand the problem. What excites him may disgust others, and what disgusts him may excite others. The second executioner stated that this was fine, but the main thing should be respect for the original work. One executioner started yelling at another about whether he could destroy the devil, and he bet he's the kind of guy who repeats character destruction jokes relentlessly. The other stated that the first one was just an inveterate canon purist. Anything official equally spoils characters. The protagonist ordered them to stop and not fight their delusions. Marguerite stated that it was too much humiliation and even whiplash was better than that. Ray replied to her that if she hated it, then she should stop cutting people rampantly. He wondered if she could promise him, and the girl did agree while asking him to hurry up. After that, the protagonist kissed Marguerite and the girl was released. Marguerite thought about how embarrassing it was to be exposed in front of others, in front of the public. Afterwards, as an apology, the protagonist gave her a paper with a manuscript. The next day at home, the protagonist took Marguerite's temperature and it was very high. Ray turned to Beale and the latter replied that it was a spiritual flu. Spirits who are not used to this world, they are susceptible to it during seasonal changes. It's like catching a cold because of the temperature difference. Their ability to receive spiritual power is weakened, so they need to rest and recover. Ray asked her to please rest a little at home in silence. However, Marguerite was against it because she has an appointment for a card game in the park, so she is strongly against it. Beale said that she could overcome a cold with willpower. After a while, Beale left, and the protagonist asked the girl if rice porridge would be good for lunch. Marguerite replied that she didn't want anything, and he decided to clarify whether she still had no appetite. The girl reminded him that it was the weekend and she was fine, so he should go out and have some fun. However, he replied that everything was fine and she could rely on him more. But the protagonist confessed to her that he can't leave her alone. The girl considers him a man with a kind heart. The protagonist was well aware that if he left her alone, she would definitely go for a card battle. At one point, Marguerite shared that she felt nauseous, and the main character asked her if she was about to throw up. The girl shared that she felt sticky with sweat and wanted to take a bath. Ray reminded that it is recommended to avoid taking a bath while she has a high fever, but the girl confessed that she wants to heal herself at Dogo Onsen. The protagonist thought about the fact that people who exercise have a good metabolism, and they sweat profusely with clean sweat. Ray asked the girl to wait, and he offered to wipe the water off her body. Marguerite smelled the odor and noted that the bucket smelled like Dogo Onsen. The protagonist had put some bath powder in it, so let her tolerate it today. Ray encouraged her to wipe herself, and until she was done, he would wait outside. She would need to call for him when she was done wiping. A few minutes later, Marguerite asked him to come over to her for a moment, to rub her back himself. She can't touch it. The protagonist was shocked, but agreed. He decided he would wipe her back for her. As he did so, he thought about how beautiful her skin really was. He said that he seemed to have wiped it all off and asked the girl to get dressed, but she plopped down on the bed without getting dressed. Ray didn't realize if he should dress her, and eventually decided to just cover juicy parts her with the futon. Meanwhile, Beale was drinking tea at his house, reasoning that Ray and the others would be okay. He was trying to understand how he felt in that room. The action returned to the protagonist's home. Marguerite began moaning in her sleep, and Ray worriedly began to wake her up. He touched her forehead. The girl was very hot. Marguerite slept soundly and remembered in her dreams the events of the glacial calendar of 1593, the battle against the Witch of the Black Sword, the Third Wave. People were terrified at the sight of Marguerite. They kept attacking her, but she fought back. They were all talking about how the Black Sword Witch was a monster, but suddenly, during the battle, her enemies passed judgment on her, causing her to be chained up. Sometime after the battle, Marguerite woke up in a room and saw a man above her, but she didn't realize who it was. After a few moments, she recognized her father. He gave her the antidote, worrying greatly for her health. He affirmed that everything is fine, as she is a knight blessed by God and his daughter. After that battle, her father watched her without sleep for 3 days, but the dream ended, and Marguerite woke up in the already real world, seeing the main character in front of her. Ray worriedly asked about her fever, to which the girl replied that it had passed, to which he was glad. But Ray wanted to be sure, so he asked her to take her temperature. Also, if she is thirsty, he bought some water, and besides, she should change her clothes to avoid getting worse due to night sweating. Last night, he looked up one recipe on the internet and made it for the first time. He wondered if it had a pleasant taste. He also decided to warn that it had eggshells in it, and apologized as he is not a good cook. Marguerite admitted that it was okay, and it touched her heart. Also, she decided that maybe she had misunderstood him a little. The girl ate everything that the protagonist had prepared. After that, Ray decided to ask her what exactly it was about the spiritual flu, and he sincerely hopes that it won't happen again. Marguerite shared that, actually over the past few days while in that room, she felt that something was draining her spiritual power. It was a new day. Marguerite was asleep, and Ray started to hear some sounds. And at first he thought he had heard something, but suddenly something pressed him against the wall, and it was unclear what it was. Marguerite woke up immediately. The guy was being dragged by a restrained girl who claimed that, as expected, he had amazing spiritual power. He was amazed that she was completely naked. The girl didn't realize where he was looking. She stated that he was annoying her, and that was enough. At this point, the protagonist saw fire all around and assumed it was an illusion. Marguerite knocked on the barrier and called out for Ray. However, the chained girl screamed that it's too hot and asked for help to be released. Otherwise, at this rate, she would burn alive. Ray assumed it was the same thing that had happened with Marguerite, and then he realized that he liked small melons too. But the girl didn't understand at all what he was going to do. She thought it was unpleasant, but let him hurry up and give her his spiritual power. Marguerite was very indignant, for that spiritual power belonged to her. Ray thinks that Marguerite treats him so horribly as an object, and means she only wanted his body, and now is not the time to act like an annoying heroine. Marguerite stated that if he uses a little more magical power, his life expectancy could be shortened even further. Ray knew it was true, but the girl in chains kept asking him to hurry up and invest his spiritual power. He didn't understand why it sounded so obscene and strangely enticing. Marguerite kept saying she was against it, and the protagonist wondered if she had just said something crazy. At this point, Marguerite and the girl in chains began to quarrel. The girl in chains told the protagonist to hurry up and give her his spiritual power, but she didn't wait and went for his face herself, feeling this incredible spiritual power. Marguerite was in the room a couple moments later and asked the protagonist if he was alright. The girl in front of him stood already without chains. She stated that despite the fact that the girl asked so nicely about it, he was just forever hesitating. His magic power is at the highest level, so maybe she would forgive him. The girl stated that she was pleased to meet a guy who had such spiritual power. She introduced herself that her name was Baxiona, the Witch of the Key. She said she'll make him her very first servant. Marguerite started to ask the guy to pull himself together, and proceeded to ask if he was okay. But the protagonist was out of it, but smiling because he enjoyed it and it was smooth.